Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here, and a high probability watch list for the first week of July. It is Friday, and it is the day before the G20 meeting. So we have a lot to talk about, a lot of announcements today, a lot of great stocks to look at, everything. It's going to be a packed video. So let's just jump right into it. The big story here is the G20 is about to start tomorrow officially. Today, the leaders are there. There's in meetings and stuff, and basically all you hear about on the news is what's going to happen. What's going to happen when President Xi and President Trump sit down? Are they going to come out of this G20 with a deal? Now, honestly, the market has started to move up here, pushing into this, and the reason this is, and this is what I'm going to go into, is that I think the market is actually pricing in no deal. You know, I think everyone understands that we've been doing this negotiation for the last, I don't know how long. It just seems like it's probably been a year now, and it's just back and forth, and to put so much on a meeting on this weekend, I think the market knows that probably not going to happen. Yet the market hasn't sold off, and look where we are. We're right up against the highs. So right now, people are starting to realize that, and they're saying, well, best case scenario, if they come out of this shaking hands on a good note, and discussions will continue. Basically, open dialogue. We're going to continue, and I think the market here will see that. Anything better than that, the market will explode. Anything worse than that, say Trump pulls away and says, all right, we're going to have tariffs, the market's going to drop. But, just to kind of, all right, we didn't get anything finalized here, but we're going to continue talking. I think that's what the market is pricing in right now. And we probably will see the market move up on that news. Now, news is news, and it does play a part in these charts. The other big part of the chart here is a gap. And then when we talk about a gap, it's where the market closes and then opens up the next following day. And if there's a gap in there in price, a place where that price never was touched, we tend to see that. And I don't know if there's, what the time frame on the gaps are, but I could tell you from my experience trading, and I've been trading from well in the 90s, all these S&P gaps get filled. There was a couple back here I'm looking at right here. We'll mark off a few. Eventually come back and we filled those. We actually came back there. Back here there was a runaway gap, two gaps in a row, and you can see that level right there. And look how that market eventually came back and closed that gap and then bounced and then came down a little bit further. I'm not even sure. There might have been a gap back here too. But there is a gap here. We've been marking it off. Our high was, let me double check here, the high at 31, and the low here, 31. That wasn't it. Here it is, over here. Sorry, it happened on the 17th. The high of the day, 28.97.27, and the low of the following day, 29.05. So it's a pretty significant area there. I want to circle that off for you right there. Now, the hard thing about gaps is they do get filled, but the timing is hard to predict when that's going to happen. I've seen gaps take many months to fill, but it seems like they always do come back and fill. In this case, look at this. This took a month, 2 months before it came back and filled. So, I'm not putting too much in there, concern in there, but I will mark that down, and we will look for that level to come into play at one point in the future. And we're going to call it. We're going to call it that. I'm going to put that line in here. And again, I'll just tell you what it was again. We're going to call it 28.97 area, 27.97, give or take a couple points. All right, so we got that out of the way. It's a little market radar. The overall patterns are good. The market is up. I think the market's up about 17% for the year. I mean, that's pretty good. I think the Chinese market, I just heard on one of the news channels that the Chinese market's up, Shanghai, I think it was, up 19% for the year. So it's, we're actually lagging some of the other world market, but just what a great return so far, and great trading. great trading. And we're having such a good time trading this market. Even though the summertime trade is here, things are slowing down, but there is enough news out there to keep things interesting. And we're very close to a high, so I do expect those highs to be taken out before we pull back and close this gap. So that's one way of looking at it right there. I do expect the highs to be taken out before the gap gets closed. All right. We have a lot of stocks we're going to talk about. We got the news out there. We're going to be following that. I'll have the show on. Of course, the show is always on. So on Sunday evening when the futures open up, maybe we get some news out before that. You get an early look at that. Always keep that Day Trading Radio bookmark so you can always check it out. We always have the stream up here. Even with Bitcoin, I'm actually, let me go over here. I actually have the Bitcoin chart now broadcasting on our platform. You can see it right down here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And Bitcoin here trading around 12,300. And I know we have a lot of traders that are trading that also. So I added that on the bot channel just for now because of the volatility and everything that's been going on there. The market here exploded at the end. It was a little Russell rebalancing at the end of the day, but we also see stocks that weren't in the Russell get a lot of buying at the end of the day. It was really crazy to see some big moves like Google popped right at the end of the day from 71 to 81. 10-point move. Well, no, excuse me, that's 74. 74. My eyes weren't that good. 74 to 81. Big move there. Even the Kraft Heinz stock, KHC, went from 30.70 to 31 and change just in the last few minutes. I mean, these things really rocketed up. A lot of the stocks here. Lockheed Martin here popped aggressively, up a couple points at the end of the day. So if you saw that activity, it's interesting. And again, we have news coming out on Monday. So also next week we have a holiday. We have the 4th of July Independence Day holiday here in the U.S. Markets will be closed on Thursday, and I believe there is a half day on Friday. That kind of shoots down the whole week because people use that, to go away and stuff. So volume is probably going to be pretty light, and that also sometimes could lead to very aggressive and volatile moves, both to the upside and to the downside. Now, there's an old saying that in the summertime, when the summertime trade is and the light volume and you have these holidays, we tend to move higher because all the pros are out in the Hamptons and they have the second string quarterbacks at the desk and they only know how to go long, go deep. That was an old saying back in the day. We shall see. I mean, I'm excited for next week, even though we do have the holiday, and traders hate holidays. I would rather be trading. Also, with the, I'll make this announcement too. I'm going to also do another video on it. Before we go into our stocks, we have some great stocks for you. I got a lot of stocks for you. But for the Independence Day week, we're actually going to be having a little Independence Day sale here at Day Trading Radio. It's a good one too. So let me just go over that fast. All right, so if you go to the site, if you go to Day Trading Radio, see we have our July 4th sale. It's only 1 week. It starts today. It goes to next Friday. You got to take advantage of it. It's an excellent deal. Prices have been going up over the last couple of years, so we've pulled them back a couple times in the year for a sale. One time in summer, usually around 4th of July, and the other time in the fall and winter. But they continue to move up, so because we add things to the site. And we are just about ready to launch what we call the Rockbot channel. It's a new channel on Day Trading Radio. You get it as a lifetime member. It'll be a little bit, if you're not a lifetime, there's a additional charge. If you're just you want to subscribe to it by itself, it's going to be about $34.95. But here, this is the 4th of July sale. Just to run it by you fast. You could always go to Day Trading Radio and check it out. You get the lifetime package. Normally it's $24.99 on the site. Again, till next Friday, we're dropped it down to $15.99. It has lifetime Day Trading Radio, never pay again, the Tradeometer, School of Stock, which is the educational courses, which is great, and the Rockbot channel, which is being built right now and it's going to be launched in July. So you can see the tremendous discount you get and you don't have to worry about those at all. And again, the School of Stock has the courses, so it's just a great opportunity to get everything you need for trading. And then we are offering a new package. It's a beginner annual package. So someone who maybe does not want to commit all the way, they don't know if trading is good for them. You got to give it a little shot. So we got a yearly package here, which includes, of course, day trading radio and the high probability setup alerts, the tradeometer, and the RockBot channel. So we're doing that special annual beginner package. It's very important to have both the RockBot and the tradeometer. They work together. When you have them both working together and both giving the same alerts, it is unstoppable. So a lot of people have that tradeometer. We haven't, and again, we have beta. If you remember, you're watching the RockBot now on the show. We have it on the lower part of the dashboard. If you take a look at the bottom of the dashboard, it's in that lower area here. You can click on it. It's an excellent, and we've been running that in beta right now, but once we launch that, it's going to have its own dashboard, and it won't be shown down here anymore. It'll have its own dashboard. So, of course, these are all the things you get. The RockBot, the dashboard, the all-day trading radio, the chat rooms, high probability setups, which is the alert system and all the trades we take, to tradeometer, which is unbelievably accurate in this market. As you can see, buy and sell areas, the chat, I've mentioned that, the HPS setups. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm just running by it real fast. The alerts and the research, which this video represents part of that research that goes out with the HPS watch list. So I'm doing a very special video today, just kind of throwing it all together. And again, the School of Stock. So take advantage of that. Go to Day Trading Radio, beginner package or the lifetime package. As you can see, $4.99 a year plus $3.99 a year plus $6.99. That all adds up. So this is a tremendous bargain here. $15.99. Probably in November, when we have a November-December sale, it'll be $17.99. Just because we'll be adding in the added value of some other things. So that price, last time we had that sale was $12.99. Then we moved it to $14.99. It's $15.99. The next time will be $17.99. So take advantage of this. It's not going to get any cheaper. All right, let's move to our research. Let's just jump back here. Look at the buying that came in here at the end of the day here. The last 10 minutes of the day, the market here ripped higher. Just absolutely ripped higher. For those people out there who are looking to short into the weekend, looking for a failure to communicate, so to speak, coming out of the G20, they probably got in their shorts here and then got a lot of pain, so you're probably underwater on your shorts, on your VIX and stuff. We'll see how this turns out, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more pain for those shorts coming up next week. But there is some great stocks. All the stocks we're moving today. We've been getting into some really cheap stocks. I'm going to start going over the list right now. So let's start off with everything. We talked about the S&P 500. Let's talk about our current holdings, my current holdings. I'm going to actually go break those down for you right now. All right, we're going to go right down the line here. Boeing here, I picked up a kind of a little long shot going in onto that bad news going into next week. I got the calls on this. What did I get? The July 5th, 375 calls, 275. Now that's, I wanted to see if we actually get some strength on this. We held that little support line. We're right on little support line. We're on the 20-period moving average. We're on the 50-period moving average. Down the road, this one's going to be higher. The timing for going into next week, which could be a very, very slow week, really depends on how things shape up on the G20. But you can see there's an underlying trend line. Just taking a little shot here to see if we get a rotation back up. We're going to need some good news, I think, on that. Other than that, I'm waiting for a better opportunity on Boeing. I think that Boeing's definitely going to be, it's going to react and get back up there eventually. It just has some bad news going its way, just like Chipotle Mexican Grill when it was going through that bad time when it had the food poisoning and stuff. Eventually it popped, and look where it is now. I mean, That's going to be eventually Boeing. It's just that, trying to time all these little moves. I mean, look at Chipotle here. Wow, look at that consolidation too. Didn't even realize I wasn't even looking at it. Nice divergence back here. Possible divergence there, but, we're not talking Chipotle here. We're talking Boeing. And, we'll see what happens next week. I'm just going to run you down my positions right now. All right, we picked up some pins, 6 calls on pins today, July 5th, 27 calls. Picked them up 65 cents. And this was basically a rotation play. We had this. These IPOs tend to come back and retest those highs if they have a decent, story behind them. Now, pins out of the gate had a nice run. It came all the way back down, kind of put a little double bottom in, popped through it here, retested it, popped, pulled back. It's choppy at best. We're up. I mean, the high today was at $1. Again, we bought these at 65 cents. The high today was $1 on these. I still held on to them, and they closed at about 75 cents. So we're up on it. And if we could get a follow through next week, of course, I'd take it right off. This was supposed to be meant to be a small trade based off of this rotation, going into next. Yeah, when is that? Well, those are out for July 5th. Yeah. All right. So looking okay, but I'd rather, move on this one. All right, I'm bringing this one up to you. I did take profits on this, but it still looks great. I just want to talk about it. Carnival Cruise Line, we follow all kinds of earnings, and we got the gap down on that. I said, let's wait a few days. Even better yet, wait for what we call a 5 to 7 day pullback. It's an HPS playbook play, meaning we've been in this game long enough to know when a stock gets a gap down, we usually have to wait a few days to get that selling out of it, and it usually times itself perfectly to between 5 and 7 days. So if we're looking at that, gives us time for that rotation to happen, and it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It started moving up. We got it on the 6th, and it moved up, and we took some profits. But it still looks good. I mean, we do have that 5 to 7 day pullback, the 20-period moving average up there. There's some positives here. There's definitely some positives for a further move up. But that is a good trade we took this week, and it's just a playbook trade. And then the playbook trade is, and again, let me redirect you to the dashboard. If you go to the dashboard, at the top of your dashboard, you will see all those videos. I just jumped over on the dashboard, but up here that says the playbook up here. Click on that, and we'll have all these are videos that describe what we call the playbook trades, and they're all in-depth videos on how to take those setups. So we have X marks the spot, channel breakdowns, 1, 2, 3 patterns, all things you hear on the show, dual stochastic stuff. All right. And downward wedge pattern, coil stochastic, channel breakout, stochastic rotation, lower trend line reversals, everything on there. All right, the other one we got in just recently, a couple days ago, was the FSLY. And again, a recent IPO, like the pullback here, got a breakout. We got a nice move on it. We're holding July 19, 20 calls. Just broke through that 20 level. And closed at, the high was 190. Our entry is at 165. And again, still looking for a little bit more follow through, but I think we're very, we watch these rotations fast. If we get oversold, overbought here quickly, we get a full rotation back above 80, we'll probably end up taking profits on this early next week too. So let's move to the next one. Well, here we have it, KHC. We traded this through this area, and I got nailed on this because it did break down. But when it broke down, I re-entered the trade, and we got back in, and we had a nice run, and it took some off. Then I got back in just because I liked the consolidation here. We got a pop there, and we took it off. And then, of course, I am back in it. Last one, and here I bought the KHC July 19 30 calls at $1.75. It's at 31. 30 calls. They're trading $1.65. $1.65 right now. I'd open up my thing here. So I still like them. We did get a little chop there, but it looks pretty good. Expect a breakout of the trend line. When we got into this move, this is a good little education area here. When you have a consolidation like this, a new breakdown, it's called a capitulation breakdown. And what happens is, and again, whenever you have some severe selling, 5 to 7 days to get that selling out, and then it starts to reverse back up. Whenever you break down from a channel, or even a rising channel, falling channel, sideways channel, wedge pattern, falling wedge pattern, and you break down to the downside, which is very good. Those are capitulation type of moves. And they should be bought usually. If it's a quality name, it's usually the bottom. We kind of shake out the weak hands. And what happens is it rebounds back up to the area it broke down out of. In this case, what was support now becomes resistance. We move right back up to there, and just as you noticed, we pulled back. Now we're kind of grinding back up here. The big picture on this one, wow, this thing has been murdered. So I like it down here. I'm still holding it. I think we can get a little further. I think 32 is in the cards very easily, and that could bring us even higher. It's going to bring us back into the channel, and that channel brings us up close to 34. Looks good. There's actually a little slight little upward movement here. We're starting to turn back up. That's all bullish. And then we had some interesting action after hours on this. Here, take a look at this. This is the buying that came in right at the close. I think it had something to do with rebalancing, but it was selling off all day, and then boom, right at the end of the day, last 10 minutes, last couple minutes actually, we pushed up to new highs and closed on the highs. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that next week. But I am long KHC. I think we get the 32 on this, no problem. And possibly back up to 34. And if there's any positive news, of course we're going to break higher. Usually we call this a shake and bake. You shake them out and then you push them back up through. So right now it's acting perfect. We broke down, we pushed back up to the resistance area, pulled back. Now we're going to test it again, downward trend line. We get through that. 32 to 34 is going to be our next level. Still long. Would not add to it because I have enough right now, but it looks good. All right, the next one up here. So this is going to be an interesting one. I just put a video out on this last week. I talked about picking up a Lion Gate films right down here. I've been traded it. We traded it off of this area. Well, actually here. We had it here, pop. We took profits. It came back. It did sink back down. I did get taken out of a trade, or expired on some calls. We waited for it to get down here. I've been adding to my calls down here in that $12, $11 area. I have quite a few of them. I think I have about 30 calls now on Lion Gate films, at least 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20. Yeah, 30. I have 30 calls, all from $12.50 calls. I have some $15 calls. $10 calls, $12 calls going out all the way out to September. So, and they look pretty good right now. I'm liking that. So I have a lot of calls on this going out all the way out to September. I like this area. Back here when we had that pop, we were actually in this stock, and we had this pop, and this was a informal offer from, I believe, CBS for their Stars Network, and there was something on the table for about $5 billion. That would have put the valuation of Lion Gate Films up between $21 and $23 a share. Now that might have been fake news or whatever. It got a reaction, it got a little pop, and then they came up with earnings, and it dropped off, and it continued to just trend down. Then we kind of got a little pop, and then it moved back down here. So take a look at this. This is another one of these. And this is back in 2017. They actually split up the shares into A and B class shares. Did a little thing there, and that's why you have this stock. It looks like a newer stock, but it's not. Anyway, there's I just like it down here. If it gets some significant news and starts moving back up, there's a lot of things that can happen. You know, they could sell their stars. They could be bought out. They could. There's a lot of things that could be in the works. There's some big insiders in this one, or activist investors. John Malone, I believe, in this. Carl Icahn that was in it a while ago. He never successfully got the sale of thing. But I think this thing is ready to get shaken up by someone. People are going to start coming in saying, "Hey, this is a little cheap." The breakup value alone is in the 20s. You know, that's been discussed a lot. The breakup value. So I don't know. I like it down here. We had a nice pop. It was up across the board for us today. And I know a lot of people, when I sent out that video, you didn't like it, but now you got to like it a little bit better. Look at that pop. How could we put out that video a couple days ago? Didn't like it, and boom, big move in it today. Big move in it today. Want to see that follow through. Boy, I'd love to see this thing get, you know, I mean, we were in the ARRY, and you can see what happened there. You know, I just need another good buyout here, holding some decent, you know, a decent amount of options. I would love that. I am in another one that I have a decent amount of options. We're going to get to that one next. I think there is a buyout coming down the road, but that's down on my list here. So I'll get that in a few minutes. But that was a recent trade of ours right here, ARRY, and oh, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Let's go to, so Liongate Films looks good. Also started to pick up Lumber Liquidators, LL. Really like this one. Another basing stock. Again, I've been in a lot of these basing stocks. Normally, I'm on the opposite side of things. I'm in the quality names and looking for some pullbacks on a big, strong trend. But the market hasn't been giving us that, so I started looking at some of these cheaper ones. Lumber Liquidators have been trading. We have a significant trend line here that goes all the way back to 2017 through 2018, and the price here kind of got through it, a little push through it, and then came back underneath it, and then popped it again. And as you can see, when our pullback, we maintained that trend line. The trend line kept the price above it, and we started moving back up. That's really good. You know, I love when the trend line continues to hold the strength. The integrity of the line is there. It looks good. So this is a really good level to, you know, just to be long at that $10, $11 level. And I am long that. We have the July 19s. Again, July 19s. $10 calls at $1.05. And they are trading at $1.60. $1.60 they're trading at. So nice gain on that one. A nice gain. All these are starting to really move out. How much, you know, when do we take that off? This one is, you know, I wouldn't mind going out a little bit further on this either. I think there could be a longer term reversal on this. I believe there's a new CEO in this. I don't know. I mean, probably, again, more profits to be taken next week, especially if we get a gap up early in the week. But that does look good. Everything looks good on it so far. Having no issues with it. If you're in it, congratulations. All right, next one up here is Southwest Airlines. Used to trade Southwest a lot, especially in these downward. Look at how well these hold to the channel lines, the lower trend lines. These are called 1, 2, 3 patterns. When you have a recognizable channel and 3 pivots, 1, 2, 3, you could always watch the top pivots or the bottom pivots for 3, 4, and 5. If that's a little bit complicated and I'm just talking too fast, make your way over to Day Trading Radio and you know, look at the educational videos on that one. So downward trend line, came up, tagged it once, twice, pulled back, pretty decent pullback, came back and hit. Now we're starting to hold it, and the stochastics have rotated back here pretty good. So we got back into an oversold level, yet the price is holding up pretty good. My calls, again, I got, what do I have on these? I got the 2 July 19, not many on this, 52.50 calls. Picked them up at $1.51. And they're underwater. They're a little underwater. They're trading around 55 cents, 50 cents. I bought on 144. I only have 2 contracts on it. But you know what? That is, what are they? 52.50s? 52.50s. So yeah, it's pulled back a little. When I got into these, I got into these on June 18th. And one thing I noticed, let me see when that June 18th was. That was right here. So we were trading around that 52 area. These things look much better back then. Looks like we were starting to move up. That's why I bought them right here. It ended up closing back down and then chopping around. It's just been chopping. So time decay is coming into play in this. But the stochastics are there. I still think we have plenty of time left to get this thing back. A break above that trend line will bring us back over 52 real fast. And that's it. But I'm not adding to it. I only have 2 contracts on it. And we really want to see this thing break this 3-day consolidation. So our target, looking at this, watch that 5150 area. 5150 on LUV. 5150. That's a good number on LUV for a breakout or for 3-day consolidation breakout. Very close. That would bring us back above the 50 period moving average. That would turn that back up, and that would get that thing going. All right. I'm holding, what do I have on this one? I saw this one moving yesterday. I want to go to the 5-minute chart. And yesterday, right about here, we had a spike in volume. So right here, I jumped in here around 60 and change. And it ended up pretty good. And today we gapped up. We continue to grind higher. So, I like this one. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what that volume came in for. But the last 2 days, the volume has been very nice. And it's starting to break out. And it's probably breakout volume. Breakout volume on this one. Now, would I chase it here? Maybe. I get a little further move up here. I'll probably take it off. I don't know much about it. I only got in because of that volume spike. And I got it real fast. I don't even know if we I did an audio alert on this one. I just talked about it. I don't think we even sent it out because it was kind of a high risk trade right here. But it looks great. Again, I have the 62.5. I paid $1.94 for them, and they're trading at $2.65 to $2.95. So, these are tremendous gains you're getting on these. And that one looked like closed right at the highs of the day at $64. So, looking forward to see what happens with this one next week. And again, those are July 19s also. All right, so next one up here, coming up down the road, Rubbermaid, NWL. Another cheapie that's been hit. And why do we like this one? Well, here we have this consolidation. Now, are we going to have a capitulation breakdown like we had in, what was the one we had it in? Oh, so many stocks. I'm holding a lot here, which I'm a little concerned about. Was it the KHC? Yeah, the KHC, right? So here you had that KHC breakdown. Here we're going to zoom in here. Consolidation, breakdown, and back up. So we go back out here to now. NWL. And you have this consolidation, April consolidation. You gap down, back to April, pushed higher, pushed back, chopping around. Okay day. Not bad. We need to get something going here. There's a trend line above us at 16 and change. NWL. I'm in the 15 calls at 63 cents. And they're trading at, what are they trading at now? 63. They're trading at 80 cents. So nice gain. Would love to get a pop next week on this. We get a nice gap up. This actually looks really good. It's one of my best bets. Here we actually had some good news back here. I don't know what was causing that to go back and look at that again. But we had a gap up, and then we came all the way back, and now we're kind of getting back up to that gap up, which was 16.72. And that's going to be my goal. Return to that high, that candle high right there. And that brings us right up against the 50 period moving average. or excuse me, that brings us up to the downward trend line. We're on the 50 here. We're just about ready to get a 20-50 crossover, which we haven't had in like half a year here. So last time we had that, which we didn't really even have that, it was back here. We got a little pop off of that, you know. So I like this a lot. It's one of my best bets for next week, even though it's a cheapie, and you know how much I hate the cheap ones. Hate the cheap ones. But that's our target right here, that downward trend line. So let's continue on. One of my favorite stocks for the year, my top 5 holdings for the year is Anaplan. We've been trading this in and out of this as it pulls back, getting in, popping, getting out, pulling back, getting in. This is a perfect flag. It holds the 20-period moving average. You can see it really doesn't trade back to 20. It's one of the stronger stocks out there. These are the cloud software application programs. They fall into the category like Coop, C-O-U-P. I always go over that's holding the same thing. It's very strong. These are leading the market. Plan, P-L-A-N. My favorite, Coop. ServiceNow, N-O-W. That's a little bit weaker. There was another one, but no longer around, is Tableau. Data, D-A-T-A. And that one got bought out. And that was funny because I wasn't in that at that time, but I've traded this one before, and I was just like, wow, I wasn't in that one. And then AGN, Allergen. We were in this right here. Oh my God. Right here we were in this. And we got that pop. You know, but we were in it right here. All right. And we took that trade and we got a pop and we took profits. 2 days later, it gets bought out. I was banging my head against the door. I was like, that would have been a fantastic. I didn't have many calls on this. I had a few calls, but I was just, you know, to have 2 buyouts in 2 weeks and being in those stocks, it would have been great. So Pfizer coming in, was it Pfizer, Allergen, or was it, well, whoever it was, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Wasn't in it. Can't look back at it. We'll move on. It was so close, though. But we're going to give you one that's going to be bought out. All right, we're going to give you one coming down. Next. All right, so plan. All right, so here's one. And again, this is another cheapie. And I'm not a big fan of these. It just happened to be this is the week of the cheapies for me. Signet Jewelers. Now, again, we have a decent 3-day bounce. Back up to the 20. There's got to be either some news that comes out here to really propel this one, because that 20-period moving average has been a brick wall for this. So I'm not looking for much on this. Let me tell you what I got here. All right. When I got into this, I got some shares on this at 2042, which are under what I got them on this divergence back here, and it kind of flushed out. But then I added to some calls. I have the July 1920 calls at $1.75, and dollar actually dollar. What were those? 120 calls. And they're underwater also. So this one's not really working out for me. This is probably low on my list of anything stocks that I really like. It was up a little today, but I would just pass on this. You know, this is a death spiral on this one. But I liked it. You know, the reason I got in here before was that divergence. I think it would be better to actually take the options out further on this one. But I'm going to just pass it by. No more interest in it. I'm holding what I have. And I'm looking to see if we get a final break out of this downward channel. But now we're coming up to one of my favorite stocks. It hasn't broken out yet, but I have the August calls on this. August 16, 97.5 calls. I got them at 287. They're basically break even. They're down a few pennies. there was some news the other day caused this gap down. They're saying that some of the devices were possibly being able to be hacked into. They do what's it called? You know, implants, medical implants, insulin pumps. They do heart valves, heart pacers, and stuff like that. I got into them because I like they're getting into the robotic surgery also, and they're going to be doing robotic surgery, spinal cord surgery, very similar to ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. So that's why I like this one. Typical of this type of trade, when you see something that's holding up against the highs, lots of times we'll break down before we break higher. So we have a 3-day pullback. Stochastics are oversold. I think we have enough time to get this thing going. I would buy a breakout on this though. You know, this was probably going to be on the HPS just based off a breakout of all-time highs. When you get a breakout on this thing, we're going to go. So everything's set up. We got the oversold stochastic, but I'd wait on this one. Wait on you know, at least to get some strength into this. It's holding the 20-period moving average. That 98.47 area, we'll call it 98.50, seems to be a pretty good area. 98.50. All right, I want to mark that down. We'll put an alert in on that for that one, and I would definitely be adding to this on the break of all-time highs and try to get a nice trade on it. Follow through, a couple of days of follow through. All right, that's a good sector. It's doing well, and you know, the future is very bright on this one. Well, you know, I've been getting into this arena pharmaceutical. Small drug company. They have a lupus drug and a dry eye drug. And passing credit on to a member who got me into the ARRY. Excellent researcher. Steve out there. He got me into the ARRY. Just on his research, he told me he was going to come up with good trials. It was going to get bought out. I looked in. He sent me all the information. I did my research also and got in it, and we had a fantastic hit on this. So the other one is the AUPH. So I actually added more to it today. I have a lot of calls on this, and we got a nice pop on it today. So things are looking pretty good. It's actually kind of a double bottom divergence, even though it's a cheaper stock. It held down to that $6 mark. It's starting to break a trend line. Again, these are drug companies. Might not be familiar with them. Do some research. I'll try to post some links in the room, or links underneath the video here, leading to some of the conference calls on this one and what the drug is and when they're expecting trials. We're expecting some results out this summer, and you know, and to be bought out. Possibly, very possibly, you know, something happening big on this stock before the end of the year. Now, I know that's a lot. It doesn't help you next week. But this is, again, ARRY. We've been in some major stocks that given us 300, 400% moves. Is it worth starting to get a position? So I added to my options today on it. I was holding the November 750 calls. I'm holding a lot of those. And then today I just bought the December $6 calls for $235, and it's trading right $235 to $295. So it popped a little, but it's not much activity, and the volume is there. So it's you know, we'll see what happens on this. We'll have to see. I mean, if this you know, deal comes through on this, they get good trials, they're going to be bought out. You know, who knows where this thing could go? It's been stair-stepping its way up, and it looks good. So I'm very happy about it. Just want to pass it on with you. You could do your own research on this, but really confident on this one too. Now I'm in another couple other small drug companies. If you're familiar with the site, you're familiar with Veru. I've been holding on, and I did updates on this in 2018 when we got into this thing. Back here at $1.18, moved it up to $2. I mean, I wish, in hindsight, I would have took it off at $2.30, wrote it down, and picked it up again, and then wrote it up. It came out of a nice base, They had great the earnings are picking up. Their sale of their female health products are picking up. They just partnered up with Get Roman, and now they have their drugs. Their cancer drugs are in trials, and are expecting good things. And again, another stock that eventually will partner up with someone once they come out with good trials. Once they get through their phase 2 trials, these stocks don't stick around too much if they have something that's worth having. So it's looking good. I'm not adding to it. I have plenty of shares on this. So I'm just waiting for it. It's actually looking pretty good. It's embedded. It's under accumulation, and I'm in it. You know it. So just an update on that one. And then Dak has been telling me to get into one, so I've been following it. So I've just recently got into it, ADMA. And it's starting to move on me. It's starting to move up. I thought that was a pretty decent level back here. So started to see a little volume today. It tried to get through $4. It could not get through $4. It pulled back here to the 20. But overall, a spec play, I don't know much about it. I don't even, I do not know much about this one at all. I have a couple thousand shares, and that's it. So I don't know what's, I'm giving this one a shot. Giving it a shot. ADMA, and then I have LIXT, L-I-X-T, which is really an unknown one. I got into this when I got into the Veru back in the day, and we got into this one at 18 cents. 18 cents. Got into this thing. Been holding it ever since. And the reason I'm holding it, and I'm just surprised on how this thing is just staying here at $1. It's like being supported at $1. There's nobody selling it. I tell you, every so often we get a pop up to 140, 150, 50, 150, 150. That's a tremendous game. I'm in at 18 cents. 18 cents. So I'm probably going to kick myself in the head if it does drop here over the next, whenever. But you know what? This is a lottery ticket. I don't know where it could be going. I don't know. It's just looking good. So just to kind of update you on that one. I got to touch base on Beyond. The other day I tried to get a short in on this, and there was no shorts available with my interactive brokers. I didn't check anywhere else. I was just checking fast, and it's probably a good thing I didn't get the short because it moved up a little. But I actually do like this. This is what I call my desert island short. You could go short here, come back in a year, and you're probably going to see this thing cut in half. Very similar to what the CGC. We got these hype stocks, they pop and then they start pulling back. Actually, this one's holding up pretty good. We're talking more about the Tilray, TLRY. That's a little bit better here. You get these pops, and then eventually they just drag all the way back down. These IPOs especially, they run up and they pull back. So the Beyond, no position in it right now. It's a good tradable stock. I just don't see this thing. I see this thing pulling back some. Beyond Meat, come on, fake meat. I know it's kind of an in thing now, but I think it's due to come back. $160. That one's interesting. The other one is Work. Well, Work had a little upside at the end of the day today, but my research led me to believe that this is not being adapted in the companies as expected. Even though it's a recent IPO, it could definitely move back up to the 42 in the area here. But I'd be watching also the breakdown on this one also. It's a consolidated inside day today. But mostly because that happened at the end of the day where we got that ramp up from 36.70 all the way up to 37.4. That was a nice little run. And a nice little run on a lot of different things. So I don't know where that's going to end up going, but I'm watching it. I think there's better downside on that than upside, but no official call on that right now. All right, so that's basically everything I have. I have a couple. I have the Sonos short and some other things, but nothing worth. That's the main gist of everything I have. Currently, I have some TBLT also. But let's take a look at some possible setups for next week now here. Because next week, we're coming out of the gate with news. We're coming out of the gate with the news. If we break higher, I'm looking for a possible reversal. If we do get a trade deal, I'm sure they're going to go over that with a fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass, and it's not going to be all that. It's, someone's going to find something wrong with it, and the market will probably sell off on that. But that might be way down the road. Going into next week, I like to see how this thing opens up. But we do have some setups. I gotta give a shout out to Danu. Send me some divergence setups. I'm going to do my divergence setups right now. I'm going to pause this. Come right back with you right now. All right, first one I see here is going to be Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain Business Service. I believe they. Do like, what do you call it, shredding and stuff, office, something to do with the office shredding and stuff. I don't even know. I'm looking at the charts myself. Not everything I know. It has a slight divergence. It has a divergence back here. You can see there was a slight move up, and now there's another secondary double divergence here, and it's definitely starting to move up and starting to curl back up compared to this low, and this low is definitely, you can see that divergence. Holding a big line of support too. I mean, look at that line of support there. All the way back 2018, just chopping and chopping and chopping. So that is showing up on the screen. And the other one that's showing up on the screen here is LEN, home builder, residential construction. Not really seeing a fast move down, 5 to 7 day reversal. We're starting to see divergence. Call on that, probably because of that candle right here and the angle of that stochastics. All right, so Danu here sending me some good ones here. Appreciate all the members who contribute and help out. We know what we look for. And this one looks pretty good. Sealed air. We had the gap down, 4 or 5 day consolidation, starting to move back up. So when you get that gap up, and we didn't take out that 20 line, but we took out the previous low, or at least got down to a double bottom there. That's giving us that divergence setup. It actually is a qualified divergence. Not bad at all. Sealed air. I like it. I like it a lot. I want to write it down. See what we could do with it. I don't see when you have a divergence, you're either going with it. I'm going to stop underneath the divergence low, which would be about $40. 40.64. It's already at 42.678. We're up against the 20 period moving average, which is usually where you get that bounce to. So you run into a little resistance here, but overall the divergence looks okay. I want to just leave it at that. Mentioned on the video, I like it, but because of the 20 period moving average, I'd rather have it here. Well, it's not bad. It deserves to be talked about. It looks pretty good. See what else he has for me. HP looks like a running divergence. HP. Let's take a look at Hemlick and Payne. This is a oil and gas drilling company. Oh yeah, that's interesting. You know what, Danu? I'm very happy with his ability to find the setups I like. Great job. So you have what's called a running divergence. He even labeled it right. A running divergence is sometimes where you make a low, you bounce, you make a lower low, and the stochastics hold above that previous low. Then you bounce, you come back down there. Sometimes you take out the bottom, or you make a triple bottom, but the stochastics continue to move higher. So you have this divergence that continues to run. You have a series of higher lows on the stochastics and a series of lower lows, or at least double bottom, triple bottoms on the price. So yeah, that looks pretty interesting. Big thing here, oil and gas. I mean, that's the wild card. I am not a big fan of it, but I've traded this one before. It's a good stock. You can see we did some charting on that. I specialize in these divergences that happen in these downward channels. Those are really good because you're really buying into weakness and you're getting those bounces. Here we have this little sideways consolidation. If we get a rotation up here, there's two ways of looking at it. If we get a rotation back up to 80 fast and we don't break above that 20, this is probably going to head lower. If you like it here, because of the divergence, it does have that divergence, then I would say a breakout above that today's highs. That's 5069, 5069. So we'll call it HP 5070 breakout. So all right, so 5070 would be a breakout on the HP, and that's what I like on that one. All right, CMA. Let's see what he has here. He gives me the links too, but there you go. Co-America Regional Bank, not bad. Liking it. Excellent job again. You have that divergence here. You have those lows being put in here, but you can see that stochastics are lifted above that level, and we are starting to ramp up now. Now I don't know much about it. Never traded it. I did chart it once back here in 2017. That was a capitulation breakdown out of a channel and then a push back up. That's what we look for. Remember, whenever we have a recognizable 1, 2, 3 channel, you can get a breakdown, and that's actually where you want to really buy, because that's the capitulation move. All right, CMA. I see it. I put it out there. I don't see if I'm going to do anything with it. ETFC. Now, I did notice this one the other day. E-Trade Financial came up on my screen, and it's interesting. You had that gap down here. We're starting to grind up a little. Not much action in it. It's not standing out, but it is a divergence. ETFC. Now I think Charles Schwab was also one. What was Charles Schwab? Let me see. Charles Schwab. I do believe there was a divergence here on this one. Yeah, right here, that candle reversal. We started seeing that trigger there. All right, just want to mention both of those. I want to move on to the next one. Blue Nile, I think that is, right? Biotech. Same thing. $115, starting to rotate back up. Nice downward channel. Got back above the 20-period moving average. Yeah, all right. It's not bad. Not bad. It has momentum going for it. Not bad at all. Take a look at the 60-minute time frame on this. It's bedded. I just want to see the strength on the 5. So it's kind of grinded up today. All right, thank you on that one. All right, a blue Brinker EAT. I got the rock dock in on this. I almost called him to get out of it today, up against the 50-period moving average. I did not tell him to get out. I like this one. You know, I do like this double bottom retracement. What I did tell him the other day, I said, he was asking me, should I stay in this one? It looks so weird. I said, as long as it stays above that low at 37, you should be good to go. So he's at 39 now, and it does look pretty good. So EAT. Eat Brinker. HPP. What does he have here? 200 EMA breakdown, channel line bounce. Oh yeah. So let's take a look at this one. Well, let me take a look at his chart here. What are you looking at here? Oh, you have a steeper chart than I do. That's nice though. That's pretty nice. Here's a steeper chart. I could probably make mine steep also. But what he's looking at here is these candles all lining up underneath us, and we're coming down and tagging those. And we broke down through the 20. When we break down through a 200-period moving average with an underlying trend line, we tend to bounce off that trend line and back up to the 200, and I think that pretty much did it. It was a tough one to find, to watch that. But sometimes you could actually see these happen before they even happen. I do believe VZ is an example of one back in the day that I was liking right here. and we're looking for that lower trend line. So we start to measure it out and put down the alerts down here. This one's still hanging around. Anyway, HPP, New York NYT flags with possible divergence. NSC. All right, railroad. That's nice. That is nice. Probably the best one here. Very organized divergence. Possible falling wedge pattern. Decent wedge pattern with a reversal candle and a divergence. All those things are adding for a breakout of the wedge pattern, which pretty much guarantees us a further move higher because we haven't really gotten a good breakout here. Overall, the chart looks great. You know, it looks perfect. NSC. Let's take a look at the other railroads while we're at that. KSU. All right, very similar. Very similar. You know, nice pullback, just off the highs. I like it. Transport's looking good. It's probably NS. All right. So what else? What's the other one? I know there was a couple Canadian railroads. Trying to think of the other one. It's CSX. I see them all the time when I'm driving to work. Same thing. You know, holding up against the highs. Overall, very nice. I like it. I like it. But I like the NSC. I think that divergence is the best one. Or I didn't put down the right one right there. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think there's follow through on it. It's about $200 to get to 200, 210. Big number above us. Definitely like it. NSC with a stop under. Well, with a divergence like that, you want to buy the break. You know, just want to continue to break higher. If it pulls back into this pattern, I just let it go. So you can keep a pretty tight stop on this. And even though it's not that stop 7 points, it is pretty tight for this pattern. All right, let's move on. GoDaddy's GDDY. I think I saw this one myself, starting to set up back here. So it's kind of a running divergence, but we are getting that signal divergence here. I don't know. I'm just not into the GoDaddy website domains and stuff like that. I just haven't been on top of it. There it is, though. Good pattern. All right. So I just finished up a couple other things. I just noticed that the new, I think, had the NYT on his thing too, and I just came across my scan too on this, and I actually like this one a lot. So I just wrote it down. This will be the last one of the day, but this actually looks really good. Now, you think of publishing, you think of print. I mean, I never went on New York Times on the internet. I don't know, but I mean, looking at this chart. It is really, really an amazing chart. I mean, this thing went from 12 to 32 since 2017, and it's a nice pullback here, and it's a divergence in a pullback channel here, which is typically it usually gives a good timing of the channel breakout, and you're just off the lows of it. So this is it's quite interesting. I like it. I like this one. It's starting to move up. It's not the best divergence in the world, but it is it's better than we've seen. You know, it's actually. There was a little divergence. You remember, there's one thing you need to pay attention to. Even if you have a good divergence, like there was a good divergence right here. And that divergence actually moved up. But we moved up into an overbought level. So that worked out fine. You know, it doesn't mean that the divergence is going to call all-time bottom or anything like this. Our divergence is going to move us up until we get overbought again, but it gives us a much better chance. It's like it's just a tremendous boost to the probabilities when you have a divergence on your side and you get a follow-through thing. So you can see this barely holding that 20 line, definitely higher than the recent low. So this looks pretty good. And New York Times, like I said, I've never traded this before. But I like the setup here. I really do like the setup. I think you could probably look at this on Monday, and there's there's kind of a 2-day consolidation. You have this big pop, you have another day consolidation, The highs here, or at least the high here. Let's take a look at the high here. 32.95. So let's take a look at 32.95 on this one, and have a buy trigger there on that one. 32.95 would be the buy trigger on this one. I like this. I'm going to probably end up taking a shot on this. I think we could definitely get a move higher if we break above, and just get a move back up to the all-time high. Well, I guess this is all-time highs, but at the highs, and that would bring us back through 35. So I think this is a good risk-reward trade with a divergence and a channel and a positive stock. Something about this I like. So we'll leave you with that. We did a lot of information today on this. Best bets going into next week. I want to move this New York Times up on the list. Definitely New York Times up on the list. Let me take a look at my review sheet. Carnival Cruise Line does look pretty good here. It continues to look good. We'll put that one on as one of the best bets. The LUV with a breakout above 5150. 5150, one of the best bets on a breakout of that level. I forgot to mention the Mosaic to you. Mosaic 1-2-3 pattern, also a 200 EMA breakdown channel line bounce. We had the 1-2-3 pivot. It actually came down to the pivot, the trend line down here after this pivot and these two pivots, and we bounced back up. But this is even a better one because it's such a nice move down, all the way down here. We got down. We even flushed a little capitulation there, but that was a good level, and it's been moving up too. I'm not in this anymore. But it was an interesting one. And again, who knows where Verizon ends up going down the road. Never got down there. I'm still looking at this Verizon as a possible trade. It's actually looking pretty good, but we have a lot of goodness coming here. I'm excited about these cheaper ones though, and going into Monday and the possibility of news moving this market. We're going to keep it tight. That wasn't that tight. We have to give you a lot of good setups there. But next week we'll start, once we get past this little hump of the news being released, we'll be right back on track. And a lot of good setups here. So I wish everyone a happy weekend, a very happy weekend. If you're going on vacation or anything, have a good vacation. I know it's a shortened week next week. But if you're not going on vacation, then definitely come by. If you're not a member, I'm putting this out there in the trader universe out there. So if you're not a member and you're seeing this video, come by DayTraderRockStar.com. Take advantage of, we actually do have a nice little trial that you could take, a free trial, but even better, we have a great sale going on right now until Friday. You're never going to see that price again, so take advantage of it. We have hundreds of traders in the chat room here placing trades and trading as a team. And that's it. So have a great one. I'll see you Sunday night. I'm planning on trying to get on the air Sunday night at DayTraderRockStar.com. So I'll be trying to broadcast live at that point. So we'll hopefully see you then on Sunday. Good night.